Well, it seems both parties are trying to deflect blame for the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who's the ranking member of the Financial Services Committee, spoke to our Caitlin Huey-Burns on Red and Blue about this last night.
We're going to hold hearings very soon, and whatever legislation we need to do to ensure the public, so that the public can have confidence in our banking systems. And we'll come up with final solutions. So it is not one person. It is, the feds. It is the FDIC. It is the Treasury. It's the White House. It's the Congress. And we figure out what we have learned, what we have done, and what we need to do. It is a collaborative effort.
So here to discuss is Ashley Etienne. She is a CBS News political contributor, and she's also Vice President Kamala Harris's communications director. Thanks for joining us. So
thanks for having me.
We should let the audience know that earlier today we spoke with CBS News political contributor and Republican strategist Leslie Sanchez for the GOP perspective, and now we're getting the perspective of the Democrats. How are Democrats viewing this banking crisis?
Well, I think it's important to first start by acknowledging the fact that the president's swift actions that he took over the weekend were praised by both Democrats and Republicans. In fact, the chairman of the Financial Services Committee, McHenry, actually praised the president's actions. And I think that creates an opportunity for bipartisanship. Now, the Republicans don't have a history or a record of regulating banks as do Democrats. But I think the acknowledgement that there were some failures on the part of management of the bank, there were some failures on the part of the oversight agencies to regulate the bank, creates some opportunity for bipartisanship. I mean, I think Democrats agree with Ranking Member Waters that we should be able to sit down and look at this issue, especially given that we're now talking to banks, and this could be a systemic issue that we're facing.
Ashley, President Trump spoke yesterday in Iowa a bit about education. This is a hot button issue for Republicans. What are Democrats saying on the issue? Where are they?
Well, I mean, I think, most Democrats believe, and I firmly believe this too, is what's unfortunate about this is that they're exploiting our young children and their minds to pursue their own culture wars. And I think that's what's unfortunate about it. And instead, it just distracts from, it becomes an opportunity cost. It distracts from the issues we should be really focusing on that are affecting the pocketbooks and the lives of everyday Americans and even young people, from guns to inflation to job security. Those are the issues that we should be addressing holistically, collectively as a nation to move us forward, not backwards and not in terms of restricting. So I think ultimately, Democrats believe that the president and his party, DeSantis is going down this path too, banning diversity education programs all over the country, really is just undermining the very fabric that really connects us as a nation and really starts to really marginalize people in a way that we don't think is helpful, healthy, and really the very essence of who we are as Americans.
Another big issue, of course, is the war in Ukraine. Both Donald Trump and Governor Ron DeSantis have questioned the Biden administration's approach to its support to Ukraine. The U.S., as you know, is giving the lion's share of military and other aid to Ukraine compared to the other countries. And there have been some questions about whether or not there's enough accountability as to how the money's being spent. Is this a winning strategy for President Biden?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be questions about how money's being spent. I think those are fair questions, but there's no question that we have to continue to support Ukraine because it's a bigger play. It's a bigger issue here of the undermining of Western democracy all over the world, led by Russia. I think what's curious about this whole thing is that DeSantis called for made the statement that our efforts in Ukraine are in our vital interests on the heels of Russia suffering its greatest atrocities in the war. So what's concerning from Democrats is really this pro-Russian posture and isolationism that's growing within the Republican Party that really is weakening our authority all over the country, all over the world, not just the country, but all over the world. The White House, I was talking to them a little earlier, is very concerned about DeSantis's position and whether or not this would encourage House Republicans to cut funding for the war. But ultimately, I think the Democrats and the president see it as undermining our authority in the world if we decide to back out and walk away from Ukraine.
Ashley, President Biden is giving a speech today on gun reform and is expected to sign an executive order to reduce gun violence. Although Biden hasn't announced his reelection, how could this impact Democrats' chances to keep the White House?
Oh, I mean, the president said last night, he was on the Daily Show, one big target audience that he's focused on and that the party's focuses on is young people. And young people care deeply about this particular issue. But beyond the politics, this is really about keeping people in our communities safe, our malls, our mosques, our churches safe from gun violence. And so, the way the White House is framing this up is this is one step closer to universal background checks that the president is pursuing today without the involvement of Congress. I'm also hearing from them that they're going to continue to push Congress to take action on it. But this is something we should all be very proud of, and the president is very proud of as well, taking these steps to keep our young people in our community safer from gun violence and keeping, assault weapons and dangerous guns out of the hands of those who shouldn't have them and criminals and et cetera. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a really big, important day for the president. He seems very proud about it and very excited about it, as is the White House. And I think this is, again, a first step, and they're going to continue to encourage Congress to take action. This actually, as I mentioned, contrasts with what we're seeing DeSantis do in Florida. He's pursuing legislation in the state legislature that would enable people to carry guns without permits, without any training. I mean, that is dangerous, and it's actually scary. So I applaud the president for his actions today. It's a really big step, and I think it's going to bode well for him going into 2024.
All right, Ashley Etienne, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.